on itself. Rightio. Fitted, disabled, enabled, track map, very nice. Let's see, there it is. I was wondering when it was going to show up. Well, welcome ladies and gentlemen to something a little bit different here on Trans Nations Esports. Welcome to the Formula 2 Championship. We're here at Bahrain International Circuit, the season opener for the real life Formula 2 Championship. Finally experienced something a little bit different than Formula 1. Now, in my experience as a commentator, these cars generate some of the best racing that this game has to offer, particularly in the sprint race just afterwards, as someone has retired from the session. We only have 14 cars here tonight, or today, wherever you are in the world. Ooh, as Mackenzie has a bit of a moment at turn 11. But even with these small fields, this game, or even games past, tend to generate some pretty half-decent racing. So even with the small field, I wouldn't be too disappointed. As amazing how it jumps to the bottom of the table. Here in one-shot qualifying, drivers have only beginning of the feature race. And what that means for Amazing Hour is that he set an invalidated time. It's quite a nice thing to look at. There we go, as everyone crosses start finish line, we can have a look at the results after qualifying. We can get into the meat and to the meat of the race. There we go. AD in the Arden sets a 1 minute 39.254, so they're about 13 or so seconds a lap slower than Formula 1 cars. It's quite a big difference between the two. Jay Banks qualifies in second place, 2/10 behind, and also you get points for qualifying on pole as well. I forgot about that. So already we kind of got the championship leader. Bo qualifies in third, Mackenzie Stewart in fourth, Ken Doyle in fifth, Chain Gang in sixth place, Speedy in seventh, TP in eighth, Hazard in ninth, and Mason in the ART rounds out the top 10. Now for the feature race, the top 10 have the ability to score points. In the sprint race, only the top 8 can score points. It's something that you do have to remember. And also with this feature race, there is a mandatory pit stop. But with these, there's a rule in real life Formula 2 that you have to do your pit stop after 6 laps. In this game, with the 50% races, it means you have to do your mandatory pit stop after 3 laps. And that rule caused a bit of havoc in some previous Formula 2 races that I've done, with drivers not realizing that there's actually sort of a lap limit that you have to go over in order to complete your mandatory pit stop. And if you say pit before then and you don't do another pit stop, you get disqualified from the race because you haven't followed the rules completely. So it's something that drivers do have to look out for. But here we go. Drivers on their formation lap. Again, only 14 cars here today, but regardless, we'll push on. You can see here we've got quite the split in strategy, my word. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars will be starting on the soft compound tyre, with 8 cars on the mediums. Quite a split in strategy, I have to say. We'll see how it works out, I guess. I mean, I guess it would be nice to start on the soft compound tyre. That way you get all the grip that you can possibly get from the start of the race. Yeah. Get the power down off the line and lead into turn 1. But not only that, with the field bunched up like it is, it increases the chance of a safety car. So the soft tyre provides a great deal of flexibility in that sort of department. But again, drivers have to be aware of the mandatory pit stop. So, as chain game, oh my word, 2 drivers have been disqualified from the formation lap. They'll return back to the grid with absolutely stone cold tyres as well. Drivers are making around the top of the circuit. I don't think I've ever seen a Formula 2 race around Bahrain, at least in F1 2019 or in F1 2020 for that matter. In fact, this is the very first Formula 2 race that I've seen in this game. Hopefully the racing in Formula 2 in this game is as good as it was in F1 2019. Some of the best racing that I've ever witnessed came from Formula 2 cars. In fact, probably the first big race, the first properly amazing race that I commentated, which was about 6 months ago, was a Formula 2 race around Paul Ricard. It was absolutely insane. Hopefully that sort of magic from last year can continue on this year. But the drivers are now lining back up into their respective grid slots, and we'll get round 1 underway. Not quite under lights. You can see it's still quite a lot of daylight around the circuit. But hopefully that won't deter the drivers too much. They're on the grid. Where's the lights? Still no lights. Oh no. What's happened here? Ooh. Oh, hello. But here we go. Season opener is underway here at Sakhir International Circuit. And AD seems to have gotten a fantastic start, but so has Bo around the outside. Oh, dearie me, there is some... Oh, no! You can see that in the background, someone losing all sorts of control. And there's a car spun round. That's amazing hour at the exit of turn 1. Now he's got an almighty amount of work to do. But I noticed, if I'm not mistaken, down in 12th place is Ken Doyle. Notice the car loses all sorts of control and sort of drive in and T-bone the field. It seems everyone is relatively okay, minus Amazing Hour. But Bo has gotten a fantastic start. You can see there, he's made up 2 positions off the line, and he currently leads the way here in Bahrain. AD is just behind in the Arden. We've got Mackenzie Stewart in the ART, if I know my Formula 2 cars, which I don't. J Banks just behind in the Prema. Speedy in the Carlin, I think. Sensen in the Trident is currently in 6th place, and he's got 2 cars right behind. Look at that, GeForce Hazard in the Prema, and TP in the Dams. Both, oh my word, as Brett Keenan in the Arden having an almighty moment at the exit of turn 13. Luckily he was able to gather it back up, as Bo obviously sets the fastest lap, as Mackenzie jumps to the top of the table for whatever bloody reason. Oh god, we've got this leaderboard glitch again. Oh, that's fantastic. It's good to see. This game has plenty of bugs, absolutely riddled through it. It's fantastic. It wouldn't be a Codemasters game without it. Now, is that Tinsley? I guess that's how you would try and pronounce that. The number really throws me off. But he comes into the pits. He'll go onto the soft tyre. He'll need to make another pit... Oh, onto the mediums rather. He'll need to make another pit stop if he wants to complete this race. Otherwise, he'll get disqualified from the session. A lot of drivers don't know this, though. So I wouldn't be surprised if he stays out for the entire race. Bo continues to lead the way. As AD, he's still within a second of the car in front. So long as he keeps within that second, he sort of gives himself a chance to try and compete for the race win. But as soon as he falls outside of it, his challenge for the lead will become that much harder. You can see there, as we ride on board with this Formula 2 car, the amount of understeer and the lack of grip in comparison to Formula 1 cars is absolutely astonishing. You can have a look at this. Coming into turn 13, all this understeer and lack of grip, lack of anything going into the corner. You can visualize in your head the Formula 1 cars going through there. There's no care in the world. You got all this mechanical and aerodynamic grip. You just fly through there. And something's happening back here. And we've got... Oh, righto. As Sensen literally floors it into the pit lane and gets a 5-second penalty. Now, is this a safety car? Is this a proper safety car or a virtual safety car? I can't tell. There's no prompt. Let's see, is there a safety car dot on the circuit? I don't think so. I think it's just a virtual safety car. Now again, drivers have to realise that you'll have to do another pit stop, because it's only lap 3, it's only lap 4 or higher where you need to do your mandatory pit stop. From the looks of things, it's just a virtual. He hasn't got a safety car in front, and I don't see a dot waiting on the racetrack either, so it must be just a virtual. Drive-through penalty for TP for speeding under virtual safety car. There we go. Back. Oh, hang on. Oh, he's lost it. Whereabouts is that? That's the exit of turn 3. Oh, turn 4 rather. No, turn 3. Lost a lot of time. He's going to lose even more with the drive-through, as AD is going to launch an attack on Bo. Now DRS is enabled. He's going to take full advantage of it. Into the DRS zone, he'll slot to the inside and just slide on by. However, Bo might counter-attack into... Well, actually, AD hasn't got a great deal of straight line speed, even with the DRS. Through turn 2, into turn 3, 4th gear. Bo gets DRS. Now, is he going to counter-attack or is he going to wait? AD sort of half covers. Oh, dearie me. Through the high-speed S section at the beginning of the 2nd sector. Heading into turn 8, this place has seen an almighty amount of lockups. That could have been nasty, but luckily Bo was able to pull the car up. Now into the notorious turns 9 and 10 of this racetrack. Now we're down to 13 cars. Quite disappointing, not gonna lie. Down the back straight away into turns 10, then turn 12. Turn 12, formerly a notorious corner in F1 2019. That inside curve, if you touched it, back end would instantaneously step out. You probably find yourself in one of the tyre barriers lining the racetrack. Down this straightaway, heading towards 14 and 15, and Bo is losing a little bit of time here to AD in front, but you can see on that sort of guided tour of the circuit how much more difficult these cars are to drive. And you can imagine how much more difficult it would be without assists as well. I don't know what assists are turned on or off in this championship. I might have to look at that once the racing settles down a little bit. But it seems a lot of these drivers are running without traction control and ABS. I've noticed a fair amount of locking up, as again AD goes defensive heading towards turn 4, but he slots back onto the racing line on sort of just before the braking point. Again through these high speed S's. Now the lack of downforce through there that Bo would be feeling would be absolutely horrible. The dirty air generated from the Arden in front would mean that Bo would lose so much aerodynamic grip, and it would be even worse because of the simplicity of the wings on these cars. Are not very complex. They don't generate a great deal of downforce even in clear air. So with dirty air going over the car, it would be absolutely shocking. Oh, but Bo gets a very good run through 11. Might line up an overtake here. Heading into turn 1. He needs to nail these two corners though. Turn 13, and then he has to try and nail turn 14. AD has got a superb run through 13. You can see him just pull away on this straightaway. He's opened up 7/10 over the course of the lap, locking up massively into 14 though. I'll tell you what, I think Bo might be using traction control. Went full throttle very early there, as Banks lines up a very simple overtake on Mackenzie Stewart for 3rd place, a final podium position. Oh, hang on. Nah, I didn't think he would go for it. Just kind of looked like he would. Brett Keenan currently in 7th place, hunting down Andrew Lee, LR Amazing Hour. And we've got a battle for P8 as well between Harry Lillis and Mason. Deary me. Mason under attack from Chain Game, as Harry makes a mistake, so it now becomes a 3-way fight now for 8th place. Now Sason has come into the pits. Is this serving a drive-through? As TP gets a drive-through, like that's definitely a drive-through penalty. No, they both are. They're both serving drive-throughs. You can see the top two running on the soft tyre, and J Banks on the medium tyre. That's something that we do have to consider. How the medium runners are going to play into this. Obviously the soft runners were going to walk away at the start having that much more mechanical grip, but now the tables have turned. These soft tyres are about to switch off and the medium tyres are about to switch on. AD has recognised this. He's come into the pits. 60 kilometre an hour speed limit, as John Dittmar has joined the session. Now you can see how much slower a pit stop is in Formula 2. Only 4 guys working on the car and 2 jackmen. That's it. It becomes that much worse when you have to do a wing change, because the front 2 jackmen, oh dear, the front 2 wheel gunners rather, oh good, he's muted, thank goodness. Yeah, the front 2 wheel gunners have to change the front wing, so you've got that much longer to try and get out of the pits. You can see here, these are the assists that are being restricted, and all of them are sort of from gearbox downward. They're all restricted, so pit assist, pit release assist, ERS you don't have to worry about, DRS and fuel assist are all off. However, you've got dynamic racing line if you want it, traction control if you want it, ABS, braking assist if you're really desperate. You can use all those sort of things. So you got plenty of things that will help you try and drive these cars. As AD comes out in 11th place, you can see the leader on the mini map. He's heading towards turn 14. That's how long a pit stop is with these cars. They are stupidly long. As Bo now comes into the pit lane, and he speeds. It's not 80. Oh, I've seen this happen last season. People do this. They confuse the Formula 1 speed limit with Formula 2. With Formula 2, it's almost always 60. It's never 80. Oh dear. Now let's see. Where are you, Bo? There you are. Right on board with AD. Let's see where Bo comes out. There he is. A fair way behind. That's the undercut. at work right there. TP gets a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. These two were battling for the race lead. Now AB has a 2.7 second advantage. That's absolutely massive. That's how powerful the undercut is in Formula 2. But we're now closing in on the halfway mark of the feature race. Mackenzie Stewart is leading the way. You're right, Polish Sniper. Enjoy the race regardless, from a spectator point of view. It should be good to watch. These two are now scrapping it out for the race lead. And these two are scrapping it out for the final podium position. Amazing how slots himself into third. Oh, the understeer. The speed he had through turn 12. Dearie me. But amazing how he's got a lot of work to do. Almost 10 seconds is the gap between himself and second place. So, and these two are just slipstreaming each other. They'll only just pull away at this rate. But Banks, is he going to launch an attack on Mackenzie? No, he's not. He's going to slot in behind. And possibly wait for turn 4. We're right on board with the Prema. DRS open again. But Stewart gets a fantastic exit out of turn 2. And in turn has a fantastic run through turn 3 and onto the straight. As AD sets a new fastest lap, a 1 minute 41.721. That is unbelievable. The pace difference between an F2 car and F1 car is absolutely insane. I mean, these cars definitely aren't slow. See there. Oh, locking up into turn 10, and Banks has lost a bucket load of time. This will cost him dearly. You can see there the speedo climbs. We're going to hit almost 300 kilometers an hour. Oh, not quite, more like 280, as Mr. Dittmar has left the session. These cars definitely aren't slow, but it just really shows that Formula 1 cars are stupidly freaking fast. You can see now that everyone is relatively spread out. No one really battling each other at this stage. Oh, a big tank slapper for Josh Banks. You can see there, with that mistake, he loses at least 2, maybe 3/10 of a second down the pit straightaway. These cars really do punish you if you make a mistake. Oh, as Maka demonstrates perfectly, he makes a mistake through turn 2. His car was completely sideways. As Speedy comes in for somewhat an early pit stop of sorts. It's about a lap earlier than what I thought the strategy would be, but he'll get an undercut on his rivals, so it might work out in his favour. A bit like what AD did to Bo, who now has a 3.8 second advantage. Like, this was a battle for P2, and it's now 4-second gap. That's absolutely incredible. Now, Mr. Banks, he's now within DRS range again because of Mackenzie's mistake at turn 2. Heading into turn 11, then turn 12. Would be critical. What's going on here? Mason and AD are fighting. This is for position. But of course there's still a few drivers yet to make a pit stop. Mason goes defensive. He comes back. AD's going to have a look around the outside into turn 11, and he gets the move done. He'll have the inside for 12. There we go. He's done it. He slot himself into 6th place. Now with a little bit of clear air to play with. Now, Mackenzie Stewart in for his mandatory pit stop. He'll be going onto the soft compound tyre. He'll be going to the end of the race. Now, where's AD? He's on the pit straight. You can see the ART is still in the pit lane. There it is. You can see the pink car there. It's heading, there it is, towards the apex of turn 1. Mackenzie Stewart comes out. Now what's the gap? 32, it's about 6 seconds separating the effective race leader in 3rd place. G-Force Hazard comes into the pits for his compulsory pit stop. Speedy, I believe that's provisional P5 if I'm not mistaken, his current position. So Jay Banks becomes your effective race leader. He won't hold that for long. He's coming around turn 13. I'm sure he's going to pit this lap. There's no need to stay out any longer than he has been. As Mason tries to put up a valiant defense on Bo. Bo on the fresher tyre and with DRS is able to slingshot on. He slots himself into 6th place. That's provisional P2. See how much work Stewart has to do to try and catch up to the top 2. Let's see. AD is heading through turn 13 now, and he's going to overtake Shane Kane as Jay Banks and Amazing Hour, both of them come into the pits. On the brakes into turn 14, a massive lockup. Chain game, can he get a switch back? No, he won't. He'll probably be pitting in. He is. Let's see. It's 60 kilometers an hour. Oh, beautifully well done. Go. Your new race leaders. AD in P1 for Arden. Bo in P2 for MP Motorsport, if I remember correctly. Mackenzie Stewart is in P3, 2 seconds behind Bo. He's not too far behind at all, and he's on the fresher tyre, so he's able to put the hammer down and set some seriously quick times. Additionally, Bo has got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, which he hasn't served, so that'll get added on at the end of the race. So regardless, Mackenzie Stewart has got 2nd, and I think Banks has got 3rd in that as well. He's only 2.3 seconds behind Macca, so Bo's going to jump out of the podium places at the end of the race, it seems. But it seems AD is going to be somewhat untouchable, I imagine. I think he's got a big enough gap to hold on to the race lead. I could be wrong though. When they cross the line, it'll be 4 laps to go, but the laps are long here in Formula 2, so I might be wrong. Let's just wait and see. Mackenzie Stewart hunting down Bo in P2. Coming through the final corner to begin lap 13 of 16. Mackenzie Stewart obliterates the fastest lap time with a 41.352, as you'd expect on the soft compound tyre. Bit unfortunate that we don't have the 2020 Formula 2 cars in the game. I would like to see those. How big are the rims? They're 18 inch, I think, or 16 inch, I can't remember. I'd just like to see how they look in the virtual world. But now gap is closing to under a second between 3rd and 2nd place. Coming through the notorious turn 9 and 10. It's a pity really these corners don't have corner names. I mean, it's quite a complex section, turns 9 and 10, and they don't have any sort of name sort of connected to it. It's just a corner number. Bit like every single Tilka racetrack. They all just have corner numbers, no corner name. Through turn 12 into 13, and now Mackenzie is under a second. Or is he? Yes, he is. Heading towards the DRS detection zone. He'll be 8.5 tenths. There we go. He's going to try and launch an attack on Bo for 2nd. Now, he won't be close enough here, I don't think. He'll get DRS, he'll gain time, but if he gets a good run through the opening complex, he might be able to launch an attack at turn 4. Let's see, heading towards turn 1 with the softer tyre, he can go deeper. As Amazing Hour sets a new fastest lap of 1:40.570. Here we go, DRS open again. He's gaining. Will he look to the inside? He's not close enough. You can see there, that's the power of DRS. That's how powerful it is. "18-inch, thank you very much." I knew it was something like that. They're very big rims. Oh, hello, there's a driver in the wall. That's Sison in 13th place, just making a mistake at turn 8. These cars are notoriously difficult to drive. Any inch out of line with these things and you're instantly spun round. There is no warning. These two are having a nice little battle through the S section in the second sector as Brett locks up massively, dearie me. Let's have a look. Shane Gain, does he look? No, he doesn't. He's on fresh, soft tyres. Brett has to do a lot of work to try and keep the Dutchman behind. I don't think he'll be able to launch an attack here. I could be wrong. I'm not wrong. But here we go. This will be the defining blow from Mackenzie Stewart. He's going to look to the inside into turn 1. As Amazing Hour beats his own time by about 0.04 of a second, of 1:40.531. Now with 2 laps to go, the gap is 4 seconds. I don't think that's enough. Rather, I think that's enough. I don't think Macca has enough pace to try and catch up. He needs to gain 2 seconds a lap. And he might be on the softer tyre, but those tyres have really started to wear. I think it's just going to be too much work for him to do. Bo is still right there though. He's not letting go of the tail of Mackenzie Stewart. Jay Banks isn't too far behind either. He's really started to close. Even with the DRS, Bo isn't able to make any sort of moves into turn 11. Well, in fairness, no one really can make a move into turn 11. You need the best run ever through turns 9 and 10 in order to try and launch an attack on the car in front into turn 11, DRS or not. But here we go. AD is rounding the final corner and he'll begin the final 5.41 kilometers of this feature race here in Bahrain. Now Bo has got DRS, but remember it's going to be all for nothing, as Bo has got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, if I remember correctly, after mistaking the pit lane entry speed as 80 kilometers an hour. It's actually 60 in Formula 2. Almost all of them are 60 kilometers an hour. TV gets a 3-second time penalty. Now, I think with these two cars, once they cross the start-finish line for the final time, I think a disqualified prompt will come up because they pitted on lap 3. They need to pit lap 4 or higher in order to meet the rule set for the mandatory pit stop. I think. Keep an eye on them, as there doesn't really appear to be anything else happening on the circuit. Bo is trying to catch up to Mackenzie, but again, ultimately it's going to be for nothing, other than pride, more or less. Let's have a look. When he crosses the start-finish line, I think... No? Okay. So it must be... I'm certain it's lap 3 in a 50% race. I could be wrong. Anyway, Jordan returns to the session. He's actually participating in this race, which is good to see. We'll be back up to 14 drivers as AD takes victory here at the feature race at Bahrain. Mackenzie Stewart will hold on to second, and Wasbo with the 5-second penalty for speeding. So Mackenzie Stewart takes second, Banks will take third place, Amazing Al will snag fourth, away from Bo as well. So there you go, that's what one penalty can cost you. He's lost 2 positions and lost a podium place because of that. Seems that Speedy will come home in 6th. A 5-second penalty for Ken Doyle, must have been for speeding. Chain Game will come across the line in 8th. Brett Keenan, no, he'll take 8th place away from Chain Game. Mason will come home in 10th. GeForce Hazard will come home in 11th, and TP will round out the finishes in 12th. Just interesting. I thought it must be you can pit on lap 3 for a new set, or to meet the compulsory lap requirement. So it must be if you pit on lap 1 or lap 2, you'll get penalised for it. Anyhow, that concludes the first part of the opening round here at Sakhir. We'll move on to the sprint race very, very shortly, but first, your unofficial finishing results. Oh, of course, podium celebration, can't forget that. But Arden take the first victory in the Trans Nations Esports Formula 2 Championship. AD for the UK takes victory, with Mackenzie Stewart for ART in 2nd place. Then J Banks, who I believe is in the Prema, will finish in 3rd. I just want to see though, like, that's your top 3. LR Amazing Al finishes 4th, Bo in 5th, Speedy in 6th, Ken Doyle in 7th, Brett Keenan in 8th, Chain Game Whale in 9th, Mason 10th, Harry Lillis in 11th, just outside of the top 10. TP will start from 12th, Sensen no Kefu in 13th. That's a very interesting name. 4 Dutch drivers in this championship. Wow. As Tensley isn't going to be competing in the next race. I believe he has left the session. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I just want to look at least TP. Yeah, he pitted. Okay. Okay. I guess when you look at it that way, that's fine. He did complete 3 laps on a required compound, so there you go. So now it's time for the sprint race, and a nice little feature with the sprint race is that the top 8 from the feature race reversed is the starting order for the sprint race. So the driver who finished in 8th place will start on pole position, more or less, and the driver who won will start from 8th. And another thing that drivers have to remember is that only the top 8 will score points in this race. It's just something to be mindful of. And also there's no mandatory pit stop. You can go all the way through the race without any stoppages or anything like that. You can just go to the end. And it's Brett Keenan who will start from pole position after finishing 8th in the sprint race. He will start from pole on the medium tyre as well, as you'd expect. We'll get all the telemetry up. There we go. So Brett on pole, Ken Doyle will start in P2, Speedy in P3, Bo in P4, Amazing Al will start 5th, J Banks in 6th, Mackenzie Stewart in 8th, our race winner AD in the Arden will start from 8th. He's got a lot of work to do, Chain Game will start from 9th, after finishing 9th in the sprint race. So this order from 9th downward is the finishing order from the feature race. So Mason will start from 10th, Harry Lillis from 11th, TP from 12th, Sison from 13th. Tensley is actually in the race. Interesting. I thought he left the session. He must have joined back. Either that or it's an AI. No, the car isn't ghosting, so it mustn't be. And Jordan Detmar will round off the grid in 15th place, joining midway through the session. He's got a lot of work to do to try and get into the points, but it's entirely possible with Formula 2. Anything can happen. Brett Keenan just furiously warming up his tyres. I wonder how difficult those tyres are to warm up in these F2 cars. I know in the F1 cars, particularly the rear tyres, I have quite a bit of trouble trying to warm up. Be very interesting if the game just decided, you know what, we're going to have a wet race, because why not, in Bahrain. It'd throw everyone off. It would be absolutely chaotic. But regardless, drivers are all back into their respective grid slots. We'll get this thing underway. It's lights out and away we go for the sprint race here at Sakhir International Circuit. And Bo has gotten a magnificent start once again. Did the exact same thing in the feature race. Launches it down the inside. He bumps Brett just a little bit. We've got Sector 1 yellow flags in the background. There's a few drivers clanging into each other. Oh, hello. Sensen goes off the track completely. Oh, dear me. And explores the infield just a little bit. Looking back towards the front. Oh, hang on. I forgot something. Audio settings. That's a bit better. I wondered why the audio was so quiet. I didn't think Formula 2 cars were that quiet. I forgot I turned it down last night. That's a bit better. They're not the greatest sounding things in the world, but regardless, it's a noise. 3 wide coming down the back straightaway. Heading towards turn 11. Drivers side by side, and Dittmar finds himself in 7th place, but he runs wide. Oh, this could be nasty. Thankfully Ken's got enough awareness to know where he needs to put the car, unlike Jordan, who pushes Ken off the circuit after cutting turn 13. See here, Mason might look for a move here. Dittmar defends the inside line, contact again. Dittmar furiously defending that inside line, trying to break the toe as well. We'll go back to this. Nice camera shot of the building, not really showing the cars much. Jesus Christ, game. Show me the cars, not the bloody building. Jesus Christ. Up into the second DRS zone. Here comes Chain Gang. Now he's... Why is it showing Harry in 4th place? Oh, for goodness sake. As we got 2 drivers in the pit lane, TP and Sison. Those soft tyres will not make it to the end of the race either. You can go on a set of mediums if you really want to. There's no tyre requirement in the sprint race. You can just chuck on another set of mediums and go right to the end. Your 2 leaders, Bo, Amazing Hour, AD, your race winner from the feature races in 3rd. Mackenzie Stewart makes a move. And Brett Keenan. Oh, and Bank slots on by as well. Tell you what, with everyone on the medium tyre, go to position change. Hazard. Oh dearie me, there's Jordan Dittmar exploring the limits of the racetrack. Go back up to this because we've got a battle for the race lead. Bo, Amazing Hour, side by side. Coming down the pit straight away, heading into turn 1. Counter attack. Oh, wait a minute. What's happened here? Oh, what has happened here? No, this isn't right. I thought I must have just dropped out of the session. I thought I just dropped out. That's a very odd thing to watch, not gonna lie. Give us a minute. I must have just dropped out. There we go. We'll return back. But there you go. So the game like has a fit if you drop out. Okay. Now considering how long the laps are, there we go. Actually, we're under safety car. Interesting. Are we? Yes, we are. There's the safety car dot waiting at the exit of turn 3. So TP has retired from the session and he's brought out the safety car. Go. No, we don't need lap data. Anywho, so luckily we haven't missed out on much. Now, has anyone come in for a pit stop, I wonder? I imagine someone must have. Just chuck on a new set of mediums. Even. You don't have to go onto a soft compound tyre. Ooh, what's happened to Ken? He's made a mistake, has he? He has. He's dropped down to 11th. Either that or he was pushed off the racetrack. Ooh, dearie me. Don't go up clanging the back of someone, dearie me. Amazing hour leading the field round. Now with this safety car, get to see our first ever Formula 2 safety car restart as Bo for some reason is driving alongside Amazing Hour. Don't know. People do some weird stuff under safety car, not gonna lie. I've seen some very ordinary driving when safety car periods come out. People just don't control themselves very well. Honestly, I think it should be just a general rule to give each other some space. You know? There's no need to drive up somebody's gearbox under a safety car period. I mean, yeah, I get it under a restart, fine. Because you're trying to get as close as you can to the car in front. Trying not to lose time to the leaders. Seriously. Just give each other some space. Just negotiate the few laps on the safety car. Not play silly buggers with each other. As someone... Oh, for goodness sake. How is that possible? They're like 1 second apart. How on earth is that? Give me a minute. Yeah, so they were like a second apart. How did they make contact? And Sison gets a 5-second penalty for speeding. He goes on to another set of mediums. So he's done like 1 lap on the softs and he's gone on to the mediums. You could have went onto the medium straight away if you really wanted to. This is Formula 2. The feature race has no mandatory compounds, so You could go right through the race on one set of tyres. You could come into the pits and put on the same set of tyres if you really wanted to. You could do soft, and it'll be fine. If I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, actually. Anyhow. We'll get this thing back underway. Safety car should be in this lap. Or not. Typically the safety car comes into the pits at the beginning of Sector 3. He'll switch his lights off and he'll come in, but no, he's going to do another lap. It's going to be a 6-lap dash to the line. Actually, no, 7 laps. I forgot to include lap 6. I guess the game is just waiting for Sison to catch up as much as possible. And someone's going in. It's Hazard. He'll probably go onto the soft tyre. He'll go to the end on it. Be very, very quick, that's for sure. Deary me. Really understand that safety car periods are very, very bloody long. And that's how long a pit stop is. Hazard now coming out. In fact, he might lose the position here. There he is. Comes out in 13th, and they're a long way behind the pack. Oh my word. Hopefully the safety car will be going in this lap. These cars are slow enough under green flag conditions. Oh my word, fellas. Just give each other some space, for crying out loud. Oh my god. There's no need to drive up somebody's backside under these safety car periods. There's just no need. There we go, safety car lights are out. Amazing how it becomes the effective safety car. He'll bunch up the field and allow the safety car to go back into the pits. Once it does so, he has control over the race start. He gets to decide when to go. See there, he's furiously warming up his tyres. I mean, you can understand this, like trying to bunch up, try and get as close as you can to the rivals around you and try and not lose too much time. And he's going to send it coming out of 14. There we go. We're back under green flag racing. Finally! And amazing how it leads away. Half a second to Bo. AD now finds himself in 3rd place, but he's being attacked by 2 drivers, Jay Banks and Mackenzie Stewart. Heading into turn 1, it might be 3 wide. It is most certainly 3 wide. Bit of contact has sent Banks to the 1, leading to a compromise run through turn 2. Brett might sense an opportunity here. He doesn't go for it. He stays in behind Banks and keeps his 6th place. Speedy might be looking to make a move here on Brett. Same with Chain Game, he's not too far behind either. Heading through turn 8 now, most of the field. At the moment, amazing hour leads. Bo is in 2nd place. He's now almost a second behind though. Oh, in contact between Banks and AD. Banks was able to carry a bit more mid-corner speed than the Brett. Just touching up his gearbox a little bit. Coming through turn 11. Here comes the field, the almighty train of cars. Now, how much time can Hazard find on those tyres? And Mr. Detmar, both of them are soft compound tyres. as Dittmar gets a 3-second time penalty, and he's got a broken end plate as well. So he's going to be losing a lot of speed without that downforce. His chain game, what's happened to him? He's lost a bundle of places. He's side of the top. And he's got a missing end plate as well. 2 missing end plates if I'm not mistaken. Or is it just... No, it's just the one. But he, like Mr. Dittmar, is going to lose a lot of time without that downforce. Back to the front of the field. Hang on. Oh no. What's happened to chain game? There he is. Virtual safety car has been deployed. But it seemed that chain game lost it through turn 2, getting on the throttle a little too early. He's crashed into the wall on the left-hand side. Either that or there was contact with someone, maybe sort of side pod contact. When the front tyre hits the side pod, the car tends to spin out quite a bit, so that's entirely possible as well. Regardless, chain game is out of the session and out of the race. A drive-through penalty for Speedy. How many times have I seen this? Drivers just don't seem to manage a delta. He gets a drive-through penalty for speeding on the virtual safety car and loses a points finish. He's in 7th at the moment. That's equal to 2 points, if I'm not mistaken. With only the top 8 drivers scoring points in the feature race, sprint race rather. Just dearie me. AD starting to gain a little bit of macca, using the slipstream to full advantage. He might be able to launch an attack into turn 1 even. I didn't think he was that close. He really needed to just stay in behind Mackenzie Stewart. He's cost himself dearly. All that momentum that he had completely disappeared. Look at this. This is for the final point scoring position. Ken Doyle in his NZ Pro, which is Mason, and Harry Lillis in 10th place. Harry goes through on the soft tyre. Now he's got a fairly clear line of sight towards Ken Doyle. Oh, as Harry runs quite wide. Wouldn't be surprised if that was a track extending warning. Drivers scrapping it out furiously for the final point scoring position. So just in front, we've got the battle for the final podium spot, currently being held by Mackenzie Stewart in 3rd. AD finds himself in 4th, and not too far behind him is Jade Banks in 5th in the Prema. At the moment, the top 2 are starting to really pull away, so I think the top 2 slots are sort of done and dusted. They've all been sorted. But this final podium definitely isn't sorted. Now, AD, he's got DRS. He's gaining, but he's not close enough. Second gear. Third gear through turn 2. Nice and gentle on the throttle. DRS open again. He's gaining, but again, he isn't quite close enough. Both drivers pushing very, very hard. I think AD's got the upper hand though, in terms of car speed. In fact, he sets a purple sector 1. He is absolutely flying at the moment. Oh, as Macca has an almighty moment at the exit of turn 8, and in turn loses the position to AD, but he's able to counter-attack into turn 9 and 10. He slots in behind AD. He might look for a move. He commits to it, to the inside line at 11. But with that better traction on the outside line, the Brit manages to hold on to 3rd place. for now. And Banks has now found himself back into this battle as well. He was quite a fair way behind. But these two scrapping in front has now put him within a second of Mackenzie Stewart. Into turn 14, then turn 15. As Amazing Hours sets a new fastest lap. 1 minute 40.935. Mackenzie looks to the inside. Someone's off the racetrack. That's Brett Keenan. He's had a moment. Back to this. Side by side through 2. Contact. That's very lucky for AD. Oh, and another moment through turn 3. Banks tries to capitalise and does so successfully. He slots himself into P4. Oh, but AD around the outside. We get a nice aerial shot. Bumping and barging. Oh, and spin into the wall. Oh, very light contact between Banks and AD. And that was enough to send AD into the barrier. Incredible. Now Ken Doyle is going to try and launch an attack for 5th place. That's actually quite a nice shot of that incident. I think the stewards might like that one. Get to see a lot of the elements that took place to create that sort of accident. What do the people think at home watching the race? Did Banks give enough space? Did AD try to come onto the track too aggressively? Be very interesting to hear what the drivers have to say post-race in the Discord. There we go. Ken now moves himself into 5th. AD is going to drop like a stone with that wing damage, but he has to continue. He has to soldier on, because now it's a final lap. Amazing Hour leads by 2.8 seconds to Bo, the Dutchman, in 2nd place. As I thought someone had a moment then, but I guess not. Mackenzie Stewart finds himself in 3rd, 2.7 seconds behind the Dutchman, and right behind him is the Prema of Joshua Banks. Into the heavy braking zone of turn 4. Now heading towards turn 5, turn 6. Sector 2 yellow flags. Is that AD? It is AD. He's lost more time, more positions, and that's his teammate closing in on him for the final point scoring position. It'll be interesting to see what these two do. And also these two battling for 3rd place. Mackenzie Stewart still hanging on to 3rd, only just. Banks has realistically got one shot, heading towards turn 14 to try and make a move on Macca. But I don't think he's quite close enough. Doesn't change the fact that Amazing Hour has had a very, very good race. Led from pretty much start to finish. He wins the sprint race here at Bahrain. Bo will come home in 2nd. A deserving podium for how much speed he has shown over the course of the 2 races. And Ken Doyle will come home in 5th place. Keefels Hazza come home in 6th. No, Mason will come home in 6th because of penalties. Now will AD hold on to 8th? He most certainly will. He hangs on to that 1 point. Maybe critical towards the end of the championship. Sison will come home in 10th place. Tensley in 11th. Jordan Dittmar in 12th. And Speedy, after serving the drive-through penalty, finds himself in 13th. Long way behind the field. It just shows you how important it is for drivers in this game to manage deltas under safety car and under virtual safety car. I've seen far too many drivers get penalties because of these. Anyway, He'll come around the final corner. He'll finish the race in 13th place. Well done. Just needed to make sure. GeForce Hazard with the Schumacher avatar. Again, giving him driver of the day. But well done to LR Amazing Hour. Andrew Lee takes victory here at the sprint race at Sakhir International Circuit. Bo takes a deserved second, really, after the pace that he showed in the feature race. He really does deserve that second. Mackenzie Stewart will take third, the final podium slot, and there might be just some discussions post-race over what happened between Banks and AD, but regardless, your unofficial finishing order: LR Amazing Hour in first, Bo second, Mackenzie Stewart in third, Jay Banks in fourth, Ken Doyle in fifth, very well done from him, Mason in sixth, Harry Lillis in seventh, AD in eighth, scoring 1 point, which may be critical. Brett Keenan in ninth, Sison in 10th, Tensley in 11th, Jordan Dittmar in 12th, Speedy in 13th, Chain Game after crashing out at turn 3. Dearie me, that was an accident. He finishes in, well, doesn't finish at all. Same with TP after causing the first safety car, first and only safety car for that matter, over the course of the race. But not a bad couple of races there. Some nice battling and a bit of drama as well. Not bad at all. But you kind of expect that from Formula 2 cars. They're that much slower in comparison to Formula 1 cars. They just seem to be not quite as interesting to look at the very least. When you see Formula 1 cars go side by side, it's really intense stuff because you know it's high speed, like stupidly high speed racing. With Formula 2 you don't really get that sensation, but regardless, it was fantastic racing between a lot of the drivers and some quite chaotic moments as well. But that will conclude round 1 of the Trans Nations Esports Formula 2 Championship. Tune in next week. Now, I believe this is running off the actual Formula 2 calendar. We'll move on to round 2 at Zandvoort, a returning track to Formula 1. Seems also a returning track in Formula 2. What car was Amazing Hour in? I believe he was in the Carlin, if I'm not mistaken. Was it the green Carlin? I think it was too. Regardless, that will end round 1. We'll see you all next week at Circuit Zandvoort for the Dutch round of the Formula 2 Championship. Until then, I've been the Smeg. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Good night.